Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I came out here in good faith today to meet with the Prime Minister after his words on the night of the election, where he said he understood the frustrations of the people of the province of Saskatchewan. So I came out here to have a conversation with the Prime Minister, to have a conversation with him with respect to what exactly he was going to do differently as we move forward, because he said he did understand those frustrations that the people of Saskatchewan harbored and manifested themselves in the election night results that we see. Disappointedly, after this meeting here today, what I do see is that we are going to see more of the same from this Prime Minister. We had provided some options for him to support the people of the province, and today I did not hear a commitment to moving forward on those items.
So what did you propose to him? What exactly did you propose to him? And what kind of reaction did you get?
We had proposed very publicly the opportunity to put the carbon taxation policy on pause so that we can move forward to achieve real results in our province and then replicate those results in other areas if other provinces so choose. We had put forward a conversation, a commitment to a conversation around having a fair wealth distribution policy in this nation, so that is fair to all provinces, including 3 provinces that have had the lowest GDP growth rate over the course of the last 5 years. Those 3 provinces continue to contribute to the equalization program. And last but not least, to ensure that we have policies in place that allow us to get our goods to market, not only from Saskatchewan but from all of our provinces beyond the construction of the TMX pipeline. That is how we create wealth in our province, and that is how we ultimately share that wealth with the rest of the nation. So we had asked for a commitment with respect to putting the carbon taxation policy on pause and working towards real solutions. To have a fair wealth distribution or equalization program that is fair to all provinces in this nation. And last, to ensure that we have an opportunity to get our goods to market beyond the TMX pipeline.
What did the Prime Minister tell you that makes you say that today?
We don't see a commitment with respect to moving forward, putting a pause on our carbon tax, the federally imposed carbon tax on the industries in the province. And listen, we have had a very trying harvest in Saskatchewan. We've had some weather-related challenges. We have a lot of tough grain that is in our bins and is being dried as we speak, and we see some exorbitant carbon tax bills that are coming in on propane and natural gas that is being used to dry that grain. Some of the most state-of-the-art, the most available technology is being used to dry that grain, and there's some farmers that have some very large carbon tax bills that are coming on their grain drying costs. So we have asked to put the entire program on pause, to work with the province of Saskatchewan so that we can talk about real reductions that were committed to in the Paris Accord, real reductions that were committed to in the Vancouver Declaration, and getting Saskatchewan's conversation most certainly to one where we are committed to making those reductions.
Why don't the people in Saskatchewan get a break on the carbon tax when the rest of the country's paying it?
The climate policy is about emissions reductions. It's not about taxing people and taxing industries. The climate policy is about achieving our Paris Accord. That is why all of the Prime Minister and all of the premiers in the provinces and territories signed the Vancouver Declaration. Most assuredly, this policy is not about taxing hardworking Canadians, hardworking people in the province of Saskatchewan. It's about reducing our emissions and enhancing our sequestration opportunities. The carbon taxation policy in our province does nothing to reduce emissions. There are other provinces where those provincial leaders believe that a carbon tax is an appropriate tool to use. That is not the case in the province of Saskatchewan. We have always said the provinces retain their jurisdiction when it comes to climate policy, and we continue with that, and we'll continue with our efforts at the Supreme Court of Canada.
On the unity of the country, first, if you allow me. Why is it okay for Western Canada to talk about separation, but it was not okay for Quebec to talk about separation? What's the difference, and why do you think it's justified now?
Listen, Canadians can talk about whatever they want to talk about. In particular, I think that's incumbent on us to realize that after yesterday being November 11th, and the fact that we have had Canadians that have stood on the front lines to defend the free speech that we have in this nation. So Canadians are free to talk about what they want to talk about. What we have here is we have a Prime Minister that on election night said he understood those frustrations and he wanted to support the people in the province of Saskatchewan. I came today to hear about what he was going to do differently to support the industries and the people in our province, and I can tell you this, I did not hear that there was going to be anything different. I heard more of the same, And I can tell the people of the province that I represent that I will not abandon the people in Saskatchewan. I will not abandon the industries that create wealth for the people that I represent, and I'll be there very shortly.
So is that going to stoke, you feel? The discourse you have now, is that going to stoke Western separation?
Listen, the Prime Minister needs to answer the question as to how is he going to ensure that he not only understands the frustrations in the province of Saskatchewan, but how he is going to support them. I came with real opportunities for us to engage on behalf of the people that I represent in that province. Opportunities that I was hoping to work with the Prime Minister and the new federal administration, the minority government that we have in our nation here today. I did not hear a willingness to work on those priorities.
On equalization, is there anything even resembling a consensus or even a common position? Because, for example, Brian Pallister in the province next to yours says that he's not very keen to open up the whole file. His province has just gotten 10% more than 2 years ago. Nobody seems to even agree where to go in terms of revising or reopening the equalization.
The fact of the matter is you are going to hear a province like Manitoba that receives $2 billion roughly over the course of a year that they are budgeting on those dollars. But the fact of the matter is that the policy is not fair. Over the last 5 years, we have 3 provinces, Newfoundland, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, that are at the bottom of our Canadian GDP growth rate. Those are also 3 provinces that continue to contribute to this program. The program is flawed. The program is not reactionary, and herein lies the frustration with the people in my province, the province that I lead of Saskatchewan, is we are willing to contribute when we can continue to ensure that we can grow our economy, grow the industries that are creating wealth in our communities right across the province. When we are hindered from being able to grow that economy and grow that wealth through policy initiatives like carbon taxation, when we are hindered from growing that opportunity with policies like Bill C-69, that will hinder our ability not only for new mines, but hinder our ability to get our products to market. That is where we are challenged with contributing to this federal equalization program.
Do you think you have anything approaching, though, you and Alberta Premier Jason Kenney, is there anyone beyond that who would have common cause? Because, for example, in the last round, BC and Newfoundland wanted something to do with aging population. They were going a completely different way. Is there any chance of anyone getting anything more than you and the Premier of Alberta together?
Well, listen, I have as Chair of Council of Federation, we have been tasked with bringing the premiers together. I've had many requests from multiple premiers to bring the premiers together to talk, one, about the divisiveness that we are seeing across this nation, the divisiveness that manifested itself in the results on election night here in Canada. We saw that in Saskatchewan. We saw that in Alberta. We saw that with an increasing account of the Bloc in Quebec. We have a country that is at a divisive state, and it's incumbent on us as premiers. It's incumbent on the Prime Minister of this nation to step forward and say what he is going to do to address those Canadians, many of them in Saskatchewan right now, that are feeling disaffected by this administration.
Premier, are you ready to reevaluate your strategy then, considering that the country is this divided, considering that there is no MPs that are represented from the Conservative side in the House right now? Are you ready to reevaluate your strategy? Because you've been talking about these 3 things for a long time now.
So you know, first and foremost, with respect to how Saskatchewan will be represented, I am the Premier of the province of Saskatchewan, and I will not abandon the people. I will represent them with this Prime Minister and with the federal government. We have 14 federal MPs from the province of Saskatchewan that I know will represent their constituents very well. Where we will go from here is we will continue with our court case to the Supreme Court of Canada over the federally imposed carbon taxation policy. We are going to start to broaden our ambitions, if you will, with respect to Saskatchewan's outreach to our trading partners around the world. We are going to broaden our footprint, if you will, and I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, to ensure that Saskatchewan is represented around the world with the countries that we are doing trade with. We are also going to look at opportunities that we have to expand our provincial autonomy in the province. We most certainly, and our government most certainly, our provincial government, will not abandon the people of this province.
Mr. Kenney is planning a referendum on equalization program. Do you plan to follow his path as well?
We have no such plans for that referendum on equalization as we speak, although I have repeatedly and again today will not rule that out. We are going to look at every opportunity that we have to ensure that Saskatchewan is being well represented not only within the nation of Canada, but we're being well represented around the world, and where there are opportunities for us to expand our provincial autonomy, we're going to look at them very seriously.
You mentioned division a little while ago, that the country's not united. 2/3 of Canadians voted for a party that favors a carbon tax of one kind or another, so maybe your government should join the vast majority of Canadians and work together taxing carbon and reducing emissions. Doesn't that make sense that you're the group that's offside with the vast majority of Canadians?
So the carbon taxation was not the ballot question. By those same metrics, 2/3 of the people in this nation did not choose this government or this Prime Minister. By those same metrics, in Saskatchewan, over 2/3 had said they do not want this policy, and they did not vote to support this particular government, which speaks to the division that the Prime Minister on election night said that he heard the frustration in the province of Saskatchewan. Well, I ask him now, ensure and tell the people that those are not just words. We need to see some action.
What will you do to increase your autonomy then? You said you're looking at some. You said you're looking at some options to increase your autonomy. What kind of options would those be?
Well, you're going to hear very shortly in the next number of days the opportunity that we have to increase our presence around the world, to increase our presence in our trading nations around the world. Saskatchewan. You'll have to wait a couple of days to find out our initiatives. No, we are an exporting province. We are an exporting province. I'm proud to be in a nation of Canada. We do have some challenges as we sit right now, challenges that were identified by the Prime Minister. But what we are going to do is we are going to look at opportunities to expand our provincial autonomy. That includes expanding our presence around the world in those areas where we are exporting our agri-food products, our energy products as well.
Thank you.